For them, it's like, listen, I provided for you. I made sure you had food. You did all the things that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
You had a roof over your head. What do you mean that I didn't give you something else, or you didn't have this other thing? You know what I mean?
Right. It's kind of giving me like the blueprint of like what never to do to my child, because I know how it feels like from being the child that it was done to. Hey friends.
Hey Jazz.
Welcome to Her Intentionally, the podcast about choosing to be intentional, because thriving doesn't happen by accident. I'm your host, Jasmine.
And I'm your host, Keisha.
Today we're going to be recapping our journal from our last episode. Okay. And in case you guys missed the last episode, I'll go ahead and give you the prompt again. We asked, where did I first learn to compare myself to others? And I know for me, it was a really deep journal, like a really deep journal session. Like I had to be like really honest with myself. Yeah. And I touched on some stuff that really kind of brought me back to like my childhood.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So for me, where I learned to compare myself to others kind of stemmed from being like in elementary school. I can remember being like, I don't know, maybe in the first or second grade, and my friends, their parents were like super involved, like always there for the talent shows, the teacher parent meetings. They were always there for like, you know, awards and sitting in on the class and things like that. And my mom, so my mom didn't raise me, and she was in and out of my childhood up until high school. So a lot of times she would, you know, tell me like, okay, I'll be there, or, you know, I'll come to this, and I'd be waiting and, you know, just looking for her, and she would just never show up.
Yeah.
So I kind of experienced feelings of abandonment early on. And so in doing so, I would look over to my friends and their parents were there. So I kind of started comparing myself to them and kind of being like, well, maybe I'm just not good enough. Like maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I'm not important enough for my mom to not do whatever she's doing and, you know, be here with me. So it kind of just made me feel like just not enough early on. And because I was so young, I didn't understand the logic behind that. I didn't understand, you know, what I didn't have any sense of understanding of those things. All I knew was that my mom wasn't there. She told me she was going to be there, and now I'm feeling abandoned, and now I'm comparing myself to my friends. I'm being jealous, and I'm upset because I'm not able to enjoy that experience with my mom.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of where that began for me.
Yeah. And I heard you say that you like didn't have your mom there, and the other kids kind of had their parents there, and that kind of made you feel like less than, or it kind of messed with your sense of self-worth.
Yeah.
And so you didn't have anybody that showed up for you, like
no. So just a little backstory. Ooh, we're getting deep here.
Straight away.
Share
as you feel.
Yeah. Okay, I feel comfortable. I don't mind. My grandparents raised me, so my father was never in my life, and like I said, my mom, she was like in and out of my life up until high school. So my grandparents, they were older already. When I was like in elementary school, they were like in their 60s already. My grandfather was a full-time entrepreneur. He owned a barbershop where he worked full-time taking care of the family, and my grandmother was a housewife, but she was a homemaker, but she was disabled, so she couldn't drive, she couldn't go anywhere. So having them show up for me, I'm sure they would have if they could have. But because they couldn't, and we, you know, I was just so young, it's kind of like that was for my mom to do, and she said she would do it, so I was expecting her to be there and show up for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm curious about like how that might have affected like the way that you perceive when someone tells you they're going to do something now, and if they don't do the thing, like if that kind of like reactivates that for you.
Sure. Yeah. I'm literally still working through those things right now in therapy, like abandonment. I've worked on like my confidence and my self-worth, and through loving myself, I now know that I am worthy, and I now know that I am worthy, and I was worthy back then, and it wasn't my fault that she didn't show up for me. Like that's her own choices and stuff that, I mean, I'm sure she has to deal with still.
Yeah.
But like in therapy, I am working on the abandonment, because even like now in my romantic relationships, sometimes in my friendships, like it's hard to like separate, my inner child from Jasmine the adult. I know better now. And it's like sometimes your friends can't show up for you. Like sometimes in, your partnerships, romantic or platonic, like people just can't, and it's not their responsibility. You can't expect them to do what your parents are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because you only get that kind of unconditional love from your parents, the people that brought you here. You can't expect that from other people.
Yeah.
And so I'm learning that as well. Yeah.
I think that's another like place where we can relate to each other as well, because I have like a similar story in the sense of like that my dad like was kind of he was in and out. Like he never was like a steady or like consistent figure in my life. And my mom was in the second half or like the back part of my life, but earlier on I was like raised by my grandparents.
Okay.
So my mom wasn't there as well. But yeah, my grandmother would like show up to the thing. So I can relate to like those sense of like abandonment issues or like that sense of like I don't know, like looking to someone else to tell you that you're worthy. So but for me, in doing the journal prompt as well, it took me back to those younger years in childhood. And so if you guys watched the last episode, I was talking about how I kind of grew up in like a predominantly white town, and for a lot of my experience I was like the only Black girl in my class. And I think that although I grew up in a family where the culture was about like excellence, like we needed to excel academically, and there wasn't really a pressure to excel in sports, but maybe I felt that because all my other brothers and sisters were as well. But there was definitely a pressure to excel academically. But I think too that I internalized some sense of like, when you're the only Black child in a space, it's like you, even if you don't have language for it, you understand that you've been like, you're being othered in a lot of ways. Like you don't look like them, your hair is not like theirs,
not the same background.
It's not the same background, right? It's like a lot of those things are different. And I think that for me, that's where the performance based self-worth started to really come out, because I think that I started to like perform in order to be accepted. Like I felt like if I did well, then they would accept me, and if I performed perfectly, then I could be safe. Like that equated to safety for me.
Wow.
And it took me a really long time to realize like self-worth or your confidence cannot come from like performance.
No.
And I had to like, actually transparently, I'm still like unlearning that now.
Yeah.
In a
it's
lot
a process.
of ways.
It's a process. It's a long, strenuous process, because you're getting to like the root of it. And it's like, we're not children anymore. So it's like, you have to take yourself back to that and like parent your inner child. So that's hard, and it takes a while.
I really had to like start looking and figuring out like, who told you that you weren't worthy? Like you said, like going back and asking those like questions to myself. And then also like try to recognize where I was allowing the little girl in me to kind of run the show. Because at some point, I guess like she did that as like a survival tactic, but it's like, okay, but you don't have to do that anymore. So I'm still learning like where to let that go a little bit more now. I think it was a lot like having that conversation with the inner child. And seeing like where those wounds really lie, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's like if you press on it a little bit, it all starts like oozing out, right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's like you really have to do the work to start healing that inner child, right? And I feel like when I started working on healing that inner child, it brought me to some other wounds, which is those mother wounds and those female wounds that I had.
And I can really relate to that, because even the story I just told you about like my mom not being there, I've forgiven her since then, and we've rebuilt our relationship. And in order to do that, I kind of like had to let her know so she could face those things too, and I guess like take accountability in those ways for how she hurt me, essentially. But I think it wounded me in a way to now, as I'm a mother now, and it's like it's kind of giving me like the blueprint of like what never to do to my child, because I know how it feels like from being the child that it was done to. So I think in those ways, raising my son is also helping me to heal my inner child wounds.
Yeah. I
Yeah, you
bet
see?
so. Yeah.
Because like as I'm parenting him,
Wow.
I'm like parenting my inner child as well. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm doing it for all of us, really. And I think by me being transparent and like having those tough conversations with my mom, like we still have those conversations. It allowed her to do some inner reflection and then go back and start to heal her inner child wounds, because a lot of things she faced as a child, not feeling love, like not having a connection to her mother, I guess that kind of like she was a hurt people.
Yeah.
So she was a hurt child and she grew into a mom and then maybe unintentionally did those things to me.
That's right.
So I think by me, having those hard conversations, she's able to like go in and heal her female wounds and her inner child wounds as well.
Yeah, it's crazy like kind of how that cycle kind of happens, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that mother-daughter relationship is like such an important and deep relationship, and it's like that cycle just keeps continuing itself, because it's like why your mother maybe didn't know how to mother because she didn't have a mother,
right?
And maybe her mother didn't have
A
a
mother,
mother, you know what I
right?
mean? So it's like you saying that you are kind of like taking those experiences and healing your inner child, and it's also affecting the way that you show up in mother. It's like you're like the first of your bloodline that's like coming forth to say like the cycle ends here,
Right?
It ends with me.
Yes,
Yeah,
like no more.
yeah, exactly. Like that's I find that to be like extremely bold in and of itself. Like, you know what I mean?
It is, but it comes with a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And it's
weight
really
like
it's heavy, because I'm like I can't stop doing the work at any point. Like I have to continue. It's like, okay, so I'll heal some of my inner child wounds, but it's like it doesn't stop there. It's deeper than that. So now it's like female wounds. It's like now I need to face my daddy daughter wounds. Like it's just so much deeper. But also kind of like what you said, it almost feels like generational. Like I'm breaking curses that are not mine. Like I'm facing shit that was not for me. But they say like if a generation is going through something and they don't break through it, it keeps going on and affecting the generations afterwards. So I feel like this is like some shit that's like great, 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 great.
For sure.
Now it's like, well, I know I don't want to treat my child that way, so I have to break these chains and I have to kind of like set a new path.
Yeah,
and like
for sure.
do the rewiring. So it's heavy.
Yeah, that when you talked about like it being like generational in that way, I'm also reminded about something that I heard when I was at retreat, and they were saying like when you heal yourself, you heal for 7 generations past and 7 generations forward.
Wow.
As well, which is crazy, right?
That is so crazy. But just imagine if someone is not doing the work, it affects 7 generations. Does it work the same way?
Forward and backwards.
Yeah,
like,
so it's
like healing is,
yeah.
It's like you're healing for the past self and you're healing for the futures.
Wow.
As well. So it's like that responsibility. I guess I can understand why like the weight would feel like heavy, or you would feel that weight in some way. But it's like you still have to give yourself grace.
For sure.
Like I am a bit of like a self-improvement junkie, but it's like I feel like I like kind of have go in the ins and outs.
Sure.
Sometimes it's like
it's hard. Woo! We're still human.
Yeah, exactly. Like let me take a little break from this.
And life is still lifing.
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
So yeah. But I think it's like constantly rewiring and pulling yourself back in, and like constantly like reminding yourself that you're on a path, like it's purposeful,
That's right.
So
and you're not going to heal everything all in one goo-wop.
No.
And at the same time, like I don't know, again, healing is not like linear. So you might find like that you felt healed from something, and then somewhere down the line it's like, oh, I feel that thing reactivated inside of me again. Like
exactly.
Yeah,
because life comes to test you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even in thinking of my own mother wounds or female wounds, it's the same. Like it took a really long time before I was ever able to get to a place of like having a good relationship with my mom. And it took like really being able to have those deep conversations. And I remember like when I first went to confront my mom, it's also like the energy I was carrying, because I was like, yeah, and this and this and that. And my mom was like, nope, like immediately defensive, because I feel like I feel like too, it's like the era that your parents come from. For them, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, listen, I provided for you. I made sure you had food. You did all the things that you wanted
What
to
to
do.
do?
You had
Yeah.
a roof over your head. What do you mean that I didn't
Yeah.
give you something else or you didn't have this other thing? You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
But yeah, like having those conversations, like, no, mom, I needed like that emotional
For
connectivity. I needed to
sure.
feel this, you know?
Yeah.
And I think like it took so many like explosive conversations because the way that I was delivering it and
Mm.
because she wasn't ready, she didn't want to hear it as well. Before we
Right.
finally got to a place where I feel like she was able to hear me,
Mm-hmm.
and then really take accountability and say like, okay, so let's change the way this relationship looks. Yeah, you can talk to a person until you're blue in the face, but like if the person is not ready to be accountable,
Yeah.
you know,
Receive
or
it.
receive it, then it doesn't matter. You have to find a way to like find that, I guess, solace or be able to, what's the word? Like you have to find a way to be able to move forward in and of yourself without having to need someone to
Knowledge.
acknowledge
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
apologize or anything like that. I'm fortunate that I was able to get that from my mom,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, my dad is a different story. So when you said like the dad and daughter wounds, like that
Yeah.
that is a different conversation to have. So, you know, I think that, and tell me with you as well. I know you said like your mom not being there, like, and your dad not being there really affected like your self worth and your self confidence. How do you feel like, or do you feel like that still followed you like into adulthood as well?
So I feel like at first I was just like, oh, I don't have a dad issue because my grandparents raised me and they were kind of like parental figures to me.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandfather, he was kind of like a father figure. So I felt like, I had what I needed. Like, I feel like I was cared for. Affection, emotional, like, I could talk to him. So I feel like I had those things in my grandfather. But as I got older, it's a bit different from what I've seen in my friends and their fathers. It's like, okay, well, maybe I didn't have that with my grandfather because it is like that I guess it's a different kind of connection. It's a
Yeah.
different kind of depth
Yeah.
that comes between a father and a father and a daughter as opposed to a granddaughter and a
A
grandfather.
grandfather.
You see?
Yeah. Yeah.
So as I'm older, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it still does affect me. And because I feel like, well, why did he want to be a part of my life? Like I said, I was an overachiever. Like in my family, I did really great things. So I feel like it was something to be proud of. So it's like, why did he never come around? Like, why did he never try to build a relationship? Like, why? So the why kind of like, as I got older, it made me like angry.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
because what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, what is your problem?
Yeah.
So it became obvious that it was just like a choice that he made not to be there for me. So in doing the work in therapy and working on my abandonment, it's just like, okay, it's still not your fault.
Yeah.
Like just like my mom wounds, like that's not my fault that she didn't show up for me. So it's not my fault that he chose not to be a father.
Yeah.
So I kind of just like the way I think about it these days, it's like, okay, it was his loss because I was a great kid. Like any father that took his responsibilities seriously would have wanted a daughter like me. So yeah, I feel like it was his loss. So I don't equate those feelings anymore to like me or feeling like I'm not good enough or less worthy. It's like, okay, it's his fault.
Yeah. 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 I think I kind of see it as like I started to tell a new story to myself. And the story I started to tell to myself was like, okay, and if he had been here, maybe I would have been a completely different person, but not necessarily for the best. Like
Right.
maybe it was best that that person wasn't there. And yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Like it has nothing to do with me. It has
Mm-hmm.
everything to do with you. So
Yes.
maybe wherever you were in your life at the time and where you continue to be would not have served me
Right.
well anyway. So
Right.
in some ways it's like I'm grateful that I had the experience that I did because I did get to see, and like you said, you did get to see like positive male role models and have positive male relationships. I know it's not the same thing as like having your dad there,
Yeah.
but also you were able to find like some reconciliation with your mom,
Yeah,
which
for
is like the
sure.
same for me. And I know that like it did affect my confidence and my sense of self-worth as well. And I feel like the way that it followed me until adulthood is that I noticed that I was still performing, like even in my career. Like I would go through ebbs and flows, but every time I would go through the ebbs, I felt like it's like I took it personally. I took it like, okay, I'm not enough, or I'm not doing enough, or like, you know what I mean? Like I took it as like something that was a hit at my own self-worth. Even if I was like, it could be simple, like I would be doing your makeup and say like, maybe you didn't like the makeup, or you weren't in love with the makeup, or maybe you liked makeup and I really didn't like the makeup as much. Like it really affected like my sense of self-confidence, because it was small in theory, but conceptually it was really just about like I didn't perform perfectly, so I don't feel safe on the job. So I feel the need to show up and perform perfectly every time to keep that sense of safety around myself. So it took me a while. And like I said, I'm still unlearning it. Like your self-worth cannot come from performance. It cannot come from your career, because when those things are, if you don't perform well, what does that mean for you? Like, is your whole sense of self-worth shattered now? You know, like if you don't have this career anymore, or that career anymore, or if you don't have whatever role it is that you're so closely identified with, like, then what? You know what I mean?
I agree. And I relate to that because I became a people pleaser in my adult life. Like, and I noticed that it was just like, what? Like, why are you always performing? Like, why do you have to please everybody all the time? Like, why do you have to over explain yourself? Why do you have to overextend yourself? Like, you don't have to do those things. But because I was lacking the self-confidence or feeling unworthy, that made sense to me. To do those things.
That's right. That void created that like survival instinct. It's like, because you're still in, it's like, it's so nervous system coded still, because it's like you're still in that fight or flight mode, or freeze or fawn. But for me, that sounds like it's like you were still in that fight or flight mode. Like, what do I need to do to secure my sense of safety? Because it's so unstable, it's so shaky.
And you know I don't want to disappoint people. I don't want to disappoint people. I don't want them to abandon me because I disappointed them.
But then you wind up abandoning yourself.
Exactly. So it's like, you got to pick yourself. Like, before you start any work, before you evolve at any level, you have to choose yourself first. Like, self is first, and you have to pour into yourself first, because if not, then the rest is pointless.
Getting to the bottom, I guess, of like, how many other ways have I abandoned myself? How often do I abandon myself? You know, and so it's interesting to see like how you could just, this one journal prompt of like, where did I first learn to compare myself, could spiral into all those different things, like where all of those wounds started, where all of those traumatic and painful experiences are still alive, maybe, or still activated, and how is it affecting like how you're showing up for yourself right now today, and what can you do to stop abandoning yourself today?
I guess when we start talking about healing, I like to think back on like the things I'm working on in therapy, and the ways that I am now shifting my mindset. Also, you said that you're still working on things too. So do you want to speak to some of those things, or like how you're working to heal those parts? Like, what are you doing? Like the steps you're actually taking on a day-to-day to
like practical things.
Because we're human. So I mean, I'm sure you get triggered in things, and I'm sure those things still arise.
So some of the tools that I'm using now to be able to recognize that pattern when it's happening is, I feel like I'm like just trying to be aware, like trying to be cognizant of when I notice that the pattern's coming up. So I will start to like pay attention to my body. Like, am I getting tight in my chest? Do I feel tight in my stomach? Like, is my breath getting more shallow? Am I starting to get more hot? Because those are some of the things that start to happen for me. And then I will start to like, recognize like, okay, if that's happening, then that means that's a part of the old story, or the old wound is getting like reactivated. And then I'll start to think about like, what is it that I need right now in this moment? Is it that I need to feel safe? Is it that I need this? Like, I'll try to think about, what do I need? And then also I will try to pull myself out of my mind and back into the present moment. So I will start, there's this thing called like tapping, and I don't know,
EFT tapping.
And I don't know like the real science behind it, so I'm not gonna act like I do. But I know this much of it. It's like you're tapping in certain places on the body to help release the energy or release the tension. And in an effort, it helps to bring you back to the present moment. I found myself doing this like literally just the other day. I started like tapping in certain places, and actually I really felt like it was releasing like some of it. And it just helped me to get out of the thought loop. It helped me to bring myself back into the present moment. And then I would do like some breathing, because I think that once you do like some of the breaths, like whether it's like 478, 426 or 515, it'll help you like regulate. And then you can start to go in and start saying like, what part of this story am I like, what is the story that I'm telling myself, and is that true?
Yeah.
What do I need right now in this moment? It's like naming your needs and then seeing how you can accommodate yourself in that way. Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah, I relate to that because to keep myself in the present moment, I'll just go walk out in nature.
Yeah.
Like take a 15-minute walk, get some air. I'll go people watch. Literally anything that like sucks me back into the present moment and makes me like puts me back into my body and out of my mind. Basically. Yeah. So all those things, the deep breaths. My therapist actually teaches me to do deep breath breathing. Just like, even breathing in kind of like the 4-2. I do like a 4-2-4, like breathe in for 4 seconds and hold it for 2 and then breathe out for 4. And like just release those emotions and those negative thoughts. Like, release it out of the present moment.
That's right. Yeah. I feel like what we're saying is that all of your power comes from the present moment.
Yes.
Anytime you're like stuck in that past thought loop or too forward in the future, even it's like you're giving your power away. Being present is where your power comes from, because when you start telling yourself the stories of the past or start getting anxious about the future, it's like your body doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know that this is something that happened to it before. Your body and your nervous system starts to process it like this is what's happening right now. Exactly. So come back to the present, whether it's touching yourself, breathing, grounding your feet on the floor, or taking a walk.
Find something that works for you.
Yeah.
But something that you can always use consistently to bring yourself back.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a really good conversation.
It was.
That was a really good conversation. Really good. Yeah. Before we let you guys go, we just want to leave you with an affirmation. And the affirmation for this week is that I trust the timing of my transformation. Yeah. You got to trust the timing.
I trust the timing of my transformation.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to trust.
Yeah.
It's like you have to have faith, right?
Absolutely.
Have faith that what's for you is for you. What's meant to happen to you will happen to you. And kind of what you learned at your retreats, which was what she always said.
Everywhere you go, there you are.
Everywhere you go, there you are.
I'm gonna get that tatted.
Yeah, no, that is so
At
good.
this point, yeah.
That is so good.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for another episode of Her Intentionally. We will see you right back here next week. And before we go, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all the things, because you don't want to miss another episode.
We're going to be dropping that heat.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye, guys.